Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. My name is Heidi Roth, and I'm a registered dietitian, and we're here today with Harvard Pilgrim to show you how to do some do-it-yourself lunches and snacks. So I know a lot of us are working from home. We have kids at home. In fact, some of you may have seen my son run up a minute or two ago from his homeschooling Zoom call. So, many of us are probably hearing all day long, what's for lunch? What's for snack? What can I make? So these are some things that we have done in our family for snacks and easy lunches. So I'm going to get started first with something called a bean and cheeser. So yeah, I know some of them have kind of kiddie names because this is what the kids would always have when they were little. But bean and cheesers have continued in our house. And basically what it is, it's a really quick and easy little snack that kids, or actually lunch that's great for adults, but easy for kids to make too. So what we're going to start with is just a plain whole wheat, 100% whole wheat tortilla shell, and put it on a plate that can go in the microwave. We're going to take some cheese, and roughly about a quarter cup of cheese. But the thing with quick and easy is that ideally you don't want to have to measure. So I sent the recipes out. Hopefully maybe you have the recipes already, but if not, we can send them to you. So I kind of estimated on the amounts, but yeah, so for quick and easy and do it yourself, you kind of want to just have some estimated amounts. What I forgot to tell you was that I also opened up the chat. So if anyone has a question or a comment while I'm talking, feel free to chime in. So some cheddar cheese. If you're 100% plant-based, you could use some sort of vegan cheese. But here in our house, we are not 100% plant-based, so we're going to use some regular cheese. Cheddar cheese, and really, it could be any cheese that you have. If you have some Monterey Jack, that would be fine. If you just have mozzarella, whatever you have. And next, for the bean part of the bean and cheesers, typically we use black beans. So, typically have a little bowl of black beans ready to go in the fridge that we can just sprinkle on salads and sprinkle on different things. And if you didn't like black beans, you could use garbanzo beans, really honestly whatever type of beans that you wanted. If you don't like beans at all, you could always use like a little piece of some leftover chicken from the night before, or some roasted vegetables that might be left over, or you could even put those on top here as well. And so here you go. Here's your quick easy bean and cheesers that's very easy for kids to make themselves. And now we're going to pop it into the microwave for about 30 seconds. And until it's melted. But I'm going to actually take two things over there together. Actually, I'll go put that in the microwave right now. So come over here. So typically that cooks anywhere from 30 seconds to about 40 seconds. And what you're looking for is the cheese to be somewhat melted, and that's kind of what you're looking for. The next thing, while we're waiting for that, next thing that I like to make for myself for lunch especially is a toasted cheese sandwich. And this is kind of an easier version of a grilled cheese. It's almost kind of a mix between like a grilled cheese and pizza. I'm going to go check on my bean and cheeser. And here we go. You can see the cheese is somewhat melted there now. It's nice and warm, and literally just took like 30 seconds. So the great part about bean and cheesers now is that you can top it with whatever you like. If you like it plain, you just roll it up and eat it plain. Typically, some of the things that we like to put on is some salsa. So I'm just going to put a little bit of salsa on. So just some jarred salsa. You typically always have it in your fridge. And these are meant to be things, right, that you always just have kind of easy available in your fridge or freezer. You know, these tortilla shells you can keep in the freezer, the cheese, the grated cheese you can also keep in your freezer, so that they're just kind of always available. Now, this is something that might not always be available. This is shredded cabbage, but this is one of the things that I find is a convenience food. I buy it from Trader Joe's. It's just some regular, you know, chopped shredded cabbage. And it actually keeps quite a while in your fridge. And it's a really nice way to add some crunch. You can put it on sandwiches. It's really nice on this bean and cheeser. So I'm gonna put some here, and it just boosts the nutrition while adding some crunch. You know, typically on fish tacos, if you're a big fan of fish tacos, you'll always see some shredded green cabbage. So put some of that on. And then lastly, you can either put some sour cream on. So I have some sour cream, or you could also even put some yogurt. So whatever you happen to have in your fridge, you know, I've got the sour cream ready and open to go here. So I'm just gonna add a little dab or two of that. And then lastly, some cilantro. Cilantro is really a wonderful little herb. Always nice to have some in your fridge too, and just put that on, you know, depending on how much you like. I happen to love cilantro. I know not everyone loves it. And so there you go, voila. There is a super quick, super easy lunch, and literally, you know, just took like 2 or 3 minutes to make. So that's a bean and cheeser. You can make it as simple or as complex as you want. And then when you've got everything that you want on it, you can roll it up, cut it in half if you'd like, and voila, there we go. Our quick and easy bean and cheeser with stuff, hopefully, that maybe you just always have available and sitting around in either in your fridge or in your freezer. So now another quick item that I have been making for many, many years, even before I had kids, but is also another quick and easy thing to make. And this would be something that if kids can make themselves, if they have access to the oven and are able to broil. So it's, you know, depending on the age of the kids, but even just for yourself. So I'm going to take a piece of whole wheat bread. I've got 100% whole wheat bread. Ezekiel bread is really good on this. It's really super healthy sprouted grain bread. This happens to be Dave's Killer Bread, thin sliced. So you don't necessarily want a huge, huge piece of bread. So we're going to take our bread, toast it, however much you do, or, you know, however much you want it toasted. And then, you know, take a tomato, a fresh tomato. We're going to core it and cut it in some thick slices so that we're going to put it, and I would estimate, depending on the size of your tomato, we're looking for about 1 tomato per sandwich, roughly. So, and you know, don't make the slices too thin. And what I'm doing here is I'm kind of fitting the tomato slices all around the bread, kind of cutting them to fit so that they cover up all of the bread. Because, you know, we want the most tomato for our buck. You can even, you know, double layer it a little bit too if you want. So there you can see basically all you're seeing at this point is just tomato, because if you have some bread, we're going to throw this under the broiler, and if you have bread showing, sometimes it kind of burns. Now, what makes this really tasty is 2 things. Some oregano, and oregano is a really healthy spice that is really a strong antimicrobial. So we're not only adding some flavor with this, but we're also adding a lot of nutrition. It's got a lot of antioxidants, and is, you know, oregano has been used really for hundreds, maybe even you could argue thousands of years, to kind of help kill bacteria, help kill viruses. So, you know, definitely not only for the taste, but for the nutrition. So I'm gonna put on a little bit of oregano. And then you can use some onion salt, you can use garlic salt. If you don't have onion or garlic salt, use some onion or garlic powder, and then just add a little salt on top of it as well. So add some of that. This is a really nice onion salt. This one is from Trader Joe's. What's nice is it has onion, garlic, and some little chunks of onion as well. All right, and so now the last thing that we're going to put on here is some sort of cheese on top. And this is, this is where the toasted cheese sandwich part of it comes in. So once again, this type of sandwich, you can use whatever cheese you have available. I typically always have some sort of shredded cheese either in my fridge or in my freezer. Shredded cheese actually freezes very well. And, it's just a nice thing to have available on hand, especially at this time where we don't always want to be running to the grocery store. So I've got my cheese and I'm going to just throw it in under the broiler real quick. And depending on how fast your broiler goes, you want to leave it there for, I would start by checking it maybe in a minute. And especially if you have your broiler preheated or not. And that is our toasted cheese sandwich. We'll pull that out in just a minute. And in the meantime, then we'll go to our next snacks. So our next snack, I see I have a question, so I'm going to look at the question. Can you take the shredded cheese out of the freezer and directly on the sandwich or burrito, or does it need to thaw? No, you can put it on directly frozen. So it'll, typically for the bean and cheeser, it's actually a little bit better if it's thawed a little bit at least, because what happens is by the time the cheese is melted, the tortilla shell is really, really microwaved sometimes. So for the bean and cheeser, I would probably maybe let thaw a little bit, but you don't have to. Believe me, plenty of times I just throw it right on there. For the toasted cheese sandwich, you can put it on completely frozen because basically it'll just take a little bit longer to broil under the broiler, but that is completely fine. So we'll move on now to our next snack that we typically would have here in the Roth household, which is something called berries and special sauce. So berries are also another thing that we're kind of going into the winter season and they're getting expensive. And one of the staples that we always have in our fridge is some sort of frozen berry. In our house, we particularly like frozen blueberries and frozen raspberries. And so when my kids were little, I would say, they would say, oh, Mom, I want a snack. Go make yourself some berries and special sauce. So all they had to do was go to the fridge, grab some berries, some frozen berries out, or fresh ones. Today, I'm using fresh berries. My son commented before we started today, look how big these berries are. They're huge. And then I would make something called special sauce. So what's special sauce? Well, I'm sorry it doesn't have a better name, but it's what we call it in our house. So what I would do is I would take some yogurt. So here I have some, whole milk, grass-fed yogurt, whatever type of yogurt you like best, but some sort of plain. You don't want any added sugar, any, nothing, just 100% plain yogurt. And then, if you like, you can just even do the yogurt. But if you like, you can also add some sour cream. I actually like a mixture of the two. And, you don't use that much of the sauce. So we're looking for about a 1/4 cup of yogurt and about a 1/4 cup of sour cream. You'll notice once again that I didn't measure it. And there's a reason for that, because these are supposed to be quick and easy things. And anytime you have to get a measuring cup out, it's going to be more dishes and take longer to do. And so I'm just estimating, typically like a big spoonful is about a 1/4 cup. If you have a little more or a little less, you know what? We're not baking. It's not a chemical reaction. Here we go. So what you're looking, just, coming back to our bean and cheese are here. Put it on a plate. And so voila, here we go. Here is our bean and cheeser. That light is kind of bright. Typically with a bean and cheeser, just, you know, before we move on from this, is one of the things that the way I like to eat it, the easiest way I think to eat it is just with a knife and fork, and to cut it and eat it that way. And that way you get a perfect bite of cheese, tomato, bread, and on every bite. So there we go. Put that aside. Back to our berries and special sauce. So special sauce then, you know, you roughly want around a half a teaspoon of vanilla. And the vanilla, you can, you know, if you want, you can measure that, because that, if you add too much vanilla, it, especially if you're using, you know, the real vanilla extract, it can be overpowering sometimes. And then, you know, we're looking for roughly about a tablespoon of brown sugar. So this is, you know, a little bit of a treat because we're using a little bit of sugar, but you know, I always kind of thought it's a way to get my kids to eat some fruit instead of something processed. So, and as we know, berries tend to be, in general, a low sugar fruit, and also one of the healthiest fruits because they are one of the highest fruits in antioxidants. So good for many, many reasons. Now, this special sauce I'll keep in the fridge for about a week or so. Actually, even a little more. So typically what I would do is I would just, you know, make a little batch that the kids could come themselves. And then what you do is you just kind of drizzle it onto the berries. And, you know, we're not looking to drown the berries in sauce. It's just a little extra goodness. And there we go, berries and special sauce. It is quite delicious. It's really, really good on fresh strawberries as well. And I have actually served, you know, when I've had, back in the days when we had dinner parties, I've actually even served it at a dinner party as a dessert. It is that good and quick and easy, and, you know, just a great way to get some extra fruit. So lastly, now we have a fun little thing that kids can do too. And, you know, may need some help in cutting the apple. We're gonna make some apple rings. So these are kind of fun too. Okay. So apple rings, what you do with an apple ring is we're going to take an apple and we're going to core it. So basically we want the ring, so we're just gonna take this little handy tool, put it in the middle, and it just takes the core right out of it. And then you can pop it off, and that's our handy dandy little apple core. So here what we're going to do is we're going to cut our slices of apples, and we want about a 1/4 inch size slice. And so these are just kind of fun. And then what we'll do is we'll add some fun toppings, and they're kind of, you know, kind of a slash snack versus kind of maybe healthy dessert, depending on what type of toppings that you're adding. So I've got kind of a little mix of both. So we'll start with the snack toppings first. All right, so here I have my apple rings, and, you know, about a 1/4 inch. And now what we'll do is I have some toppings. I have some walnuts. Walnuts are wonderful. I buy them already chopped, very high in omega-3 fatty acids. This is some non-sweetened shredded coconut, so no extra sugar added. These little things are some currants, so little baby raisins in some way. And then I have some peanut butter, but you can use almond butter, cashew butter. If you have some nut allergies in your house, you can always use soy butter or sunflower seed butter, whatever type of butter that you want. We just want something for the toppings to stick on. And then lastly, this is certainly verging on treat territory. I've got some little mini chocolate covered pretzels. So, you know, depending if you're looking to make it into a little dessert or not. So now what I'm going to do is take my peanut butter and just Just going to spread it on my apple. Now, once again, you're looking for butter that doesn't have any added sugar to it. So whatever type of butter that you're using, whether it's peanut butter or, really you're just looking for on the label, this is peanuts and salt, and that's all there is in it. So I'm kind of doing these a little fast. And I'm not being really careful not to go inside of the ring because my peanut butter seems to be a little bit, I had it sitting out overnight, so so you can do it as messy or not as you want. So I'll do one more. So just kind of throw the peanut butter on it. Now, you could just stop here and this would make a delicious little snack in and of itself with just the peanut butter. Or this is the fun part, is you can add some toppings. So you could use sunflower seeds, any type of chopped nut. You could use some flax seeds, hemp seeds. So I'm going to put some, I'll make a couple that are healthy with just the currants and, the nuts. Maybe I'll make one with just some flaked coconut. One, maybe I'll chop up my little mini pretzels into, you could use some chocolate chips as well, some dark chocolate chips. That would be fun. And, maybe I'll have one like that. Maybe one and one I'll just leave plain. So there we go. We have all of our, fun little toppings. Maybe I'll add some currants to this one. And voila, we have another snack that you can make, apple rings with some fun kind of toppings. And, we're getting into the fall season now where many times we kind of think caramel apples. So this is just a little healthier version and a fun thing to do instead of making caramel apples. You can make apple rings. So that is all of our little DIY snacks that, either for you or for your kids. So I gotta admit, my kids are college age now and high school age, but we still make all these things on a regular basis. So even if you don't have kids, these are great things to make. So we have our apple rings, our berries with special sauce, our toasted cheese sandwich, and then lastly, our quick and easy bean and cheeser. So, all right, well, I just want to look now to see if we have any questions. I left some time at the end for some questions. I'm curious, does anyone have any family favorites that they make or a quick lunch that they make for themselves that, that you normally do? Or any questions about any of the ingredients or anything else that we did? I'm actually seeing that there's a Q&A here as well, and just want to see what it is. Okay, so when you, where did you buy the pre-shredded cabbage from? Oh, great question. So I've got Trader Joe's that's really close. It's just literally, a 5-minute walk away. So most of the stuff that I buy is from Trader Joe's. Probably everything that's here is Trader Joe's. No, I don't work for Trader Joe's. It just happens to be the closest store. But I have found that most stores do carry shredded cabbage, and it's a really great convenience item just to get in some extra cabbage. We're coming up into cabbage season now, especially, but cabbage, as I had mentioned, adds some crunch and nutrition to a lot of things. And so just whether you're putting it on a salad, you can even take this and saute it. So I add it to soups, I saute it. When I don't have a side vegetable, sometimes it's really kind of a great way just to kind of fill in. You don't want to buy everything pre-shredded or pre-chopped. Different things last longer than others. So I have found that cabbage and carrots are okay to buy pre-shredded or pre-chopped. Things like red peppers or peppers don't last nearly as long. So those I would always, just chop myself. But the cabbage actually will last at least a good, 2 weeks sometimes. So it is a good convenience item. All right, I'm kind of going back and forth between the Q&A and chat. And let's see, any other questions, comments? I appreciate you all joining me here today. And I think, I'm not quite sure if everyone was sent the recipes or not, but if the recipes, there really is no recipe to some extent. They're more techniques. But if you're looking for a reminder on everything that we did, you can probably email Andrea Maestros. And Tara, would you mind just putting in her email real quick?